Lynn Schneider. Your name and address, please.
Thank you. Lynn Schneider, 2742 Behringer Station Lane, Knoxville, Tennessee. I left the teaching profession last May. And even though I know that it was the right decision for me and my family, it definitely was not easy. A year later, I still grapple every single day because I know I am a teacher and I should be teaching. But I just couldn't continue to work in a system where numbers are more important than people. And I'm not alone. One of the central issues raised at last night's assessment meeting was the fact that our beautiful children are being overlooked. Their talents, interests, personalities, and their unique needs are being disregarded in the name of standardization. I heard parents and teachers alike express their concerns that the joy of teaching and learning is being destroyed. We understand that many of these policies originate outside of our community. We have state and federal mandates that dictate much of what happens in our school system. Even the disdain directed toward teachers is widespread and originates from corporate reformers, legislators, and those who stand to gain money or power. But as our elected school board representatives, you have an obligation to advocate for our students. You should realize that the educators are the experts, and they should be driving educational policy. You should be seeking out and valuing the expertise of our teachers, and as a body, you should be our voice in Nashville and beyond. Instead, teachers who've had the courage to express concerns over practices that they believe are detrimental to their students have been rebuked. You've made it clear that these are your meetings and that you're tired of hearing from us. I happen to disagree with the notion that these are your meetings. I feel that they are made public for a reason and that your job is to listen, really listen. I appreciate the fact that you may not always agree, but you don't have to show contempt. I have witnessed the scorn inside and outside of these meetings for those who have expressed concerns. They have been characterized as negative, hateful, and even vengeful. It's not just me, and it's not just a vocal few who are troubled by the trend we are seeing in Knox County, in Tennessee, and across the nation. We all have our own personal stories. Imagine the boy who's taken out a band, something that he loved and something in which he could excel, to be placed in yet another intervention. This sixth grader, who was already struggling with attention issues, spent over 6 hours a day in academic classes. He got no art, music, PE, or even a computer class to provide a mental break. What do you think that did to his spirit and his attitude toward education? Do you think we inspired a love of learning? Why would such a thing ever happen? Because we needed to raise his test scores. A prime example of a number being more important than a person. That's one of my stories. For Christina Graham, she loved and valued her kindergartners so much that she went to bat for them. She knew in her heart that many of the expectations were not sensible, so she spoke up and was instrumental in protecting our K-2 students from a developmentally inappropriate standardized test. Now, you've portrayed teachers' apprehensions about expressing their thoughts and feelings as ridiculous, and we've been assured that there will be no retaliation against anyone who speaks up. As a parent, a taxpayer, and a voting citizen, I'm here to tell you that I have serious doubts about that. You know, leaving my profession was agonizing for me. I miss my classroom, I miss my friends, and I miss the opportunity to make a difference for my students. Because along the way, in spite of everything, I do think I did some good. And as heartbreaking as it was, and continues to be, when the time was right, I got to make that choice. Not everyone who leaves Knox County can say the same. Apparently, our school system operates under the tenet that you can non-renew an employee for any reason, or no reason, as long as it's not an illegal reason. A few obvious questions come to mind. If there is no reason, then why? Don't we teach our students that just because you can do it doesn't mean that you should do it? It may be legal to non-renew a teacher with no reason, but does that make it right? And if there is a reason, why would it not be disclosed? A non-renewal is a life-changing event, and there are enormous consequences involved. An administrator ought to be prepared to justify this type of decision. If the reason is not disclosed, how do we know it's not illegal? Wouldn't an administrator want to remove all doubt? Maybe it's all by design. There seems to be a common theme in many of the Knox County renewals. You don't fit the vision of our school. What better way to keep employees in line who are afraid to speak up for themselves and or their students than by reinforcing the reality that they can be kicked to the curb at any time for any or no reason? As I said, I have some serious doubts about your assurance that teachers do not have to fear retaliation for speaking out. I have no doubt, however, that there is an atmosphere of fear and intimidation in Knox County schools, and the evidence surely supports it. Thank you.